Hello and welcome to Business Studies at Cecil College. This is a subject that you can take at Years 10. You can also take it at Year 11 or even in the sixth form. It's one of your options that we study in a year, and we study what we call the Enterprise and Marketing course, which is followed by OCR. It's a fantastic course because it enables you to do all the things you would do in business, in running your own business, from costing a product to designing the product to promoting the product, etc. So that's something we do at GCSE level. In A level, we take it that step further. In sixth form, we do the Cambridge Technical course, which again is a broad range of business studies skills. So what I thought I'd do today is show you a little bit about the course and what types of things we do, a few games for you to play. As you can see, this is me in the Business Studies suite, IT suite. We have 30 computers, and yeah, it's fantastic. So I've got a little game here for you. You can see on the board, and you can pause the video for you to have a go at these at home. Can you spot the logo? These are all famous logos that are found on the packaging of companies, or in the advertisements, or in the shop signage. So you've got, for example, there the C at the start. That's a company. It begins with C actually, but not all of them do begin with the letter you can see there. So the A, for example, is not the first letter of that company. So pause the video if you want to have a go at that. I hope you got them right. So can you spot the logo? We got Cadbury's for C, the Coca-Cola, Disney, eBay, Sony, Blockbuster. Now you'll have to ask your parents and people at home about Blockbuster. That was a company that we used to, when we wanted to watch a film, we had to go to a shop, often drive a long way to get there, hire out a video, and then take it home, and then take it back the next day, otherwise you get fined. That's how we used to do it, how we watch films. Much easier these days. Subway, Pepsi, Oracle, Tesco, Tic Tac, Yahoo, Esso, Louis Vuitton, Canon, and General Electric and Lego. So well done if you got all them right. So the power of brands, really important, aren't they? Brands, they have a big impact on our lives, and what we've got here is a little exercise for you to have a go at. Look at the 8 products I'm going to show you in a moment. What would you call each one of these products when you first see them? Okay, what would you call them if someone had to say, what is that? What would you say it is? And then you're going to show you some scores, count up the total score, choose one name per product, and add the score from the yellow bubble. So here we go. So what would you call this product? Okay, would you call it a Hoover? Would you call it a vacuum? Or would you call it a floor cleaner? If you said A, give yourself 10 points. If you said B, give yourself a point. And if you said C, give yourself a point. So remember them points that you got. Okay, keep them, add them up to the next question. Yeah, we'd say Hoover, don't we? It's such a powerful brand that we actually say the product when we're actually explaining something. So a verb like do the hoovering. You're not using a Hoover because that's a brand. You're actually using a vacuum cleaner. Okay, some of your houses might have Dyson vacuum cleaners, or Panasonic, Sebo. Yeah, the Hoover is such a powerful brand. We actually say it a bit like Google, isn't it? We say Google it. What we're asking really is to look it up on a search engine. But that's another powerful brand. What about this one? What would you call this? Lipsil, chapstick, lip balm. Well, if you said A, Lipsil, give yourself 10 points. If you said chapstick, give yourself 10 points. If you said lip balm, give yourself a point, because that's what it is. The others are brands. Well, this one, what would you call this? Would you call it a biro, a bic, a pen? Well, it is a pen, but if you said biro, like you're using a brand there. If you said Bic, you're using a brand. So give yourself 10 points for biro, 10 points for Bic, and a point for pen. What would you call this? A. Tipp-Ex, B. Liquid paper, or C. correction fluid? Again, a brand is A, so give yourself 10 points if you said brand, A. It's liquid paper, often we call it correction fluid, so give yourself a point if you said liquid paper or if you said correction fluid. What would you call this? Is it A. frisbee or B. a flying disc? Well, it is a flying disc, but give yourself 10 points if you said the brand, which is a frisbee. What would you call this? A. a jacuzzi, B. a hot tub, C. a whirlpool? Well, okay, again, 10 points if you said jacuzzi, 1 point if you said hot tub, and 1 point if you said whirlpool. I like this brand. This is a brand that was created by accident many years ago, and they made the person who invented it or created it quite a lot of money. So what would you call this? Is it A, a post-it, B, notepaper, or C, a sticky note? Well, it's the famous post-it notes. Yeah, if you give yourself A post-it note, 10 points, 1 point for the other two. Yes. Trouble is with this particular product, it's hard to patent it, isn't it, and protect it from people copying the idea. So there's many varieties of these things, but post-it note is a company. And lastly, what would you call this? Is it A, a memory stick, B, a USB stick, C, a thumb drive? Well done, you said A again, 10 points at A, 1 point if you said USB stick, 1 point if you said thumb drive. So what that exercise has sort of shown you is the power of a brand name. Now you should have a total score. The highest you can get is 80. So if you got all of them and you said the 10 points, you got 80 points, the lowest is 8. So the higher you score, the more influenced you've been by brand names. The common names we now use for these products were coined by companies, so like Hoover, Google, okay, Tipp-Ex. We all say these particular words now, and we understand them, don't we? But actually, we're not actually giving the correct name for them. We're actually using the brand. So memory stick, for example, as you can see there, is actually a brand name registered by Sony in 1998. So well done on all that. Thank you for listening, and I hope you choose business studies in the future.
Hello, welcome to Business Studies. This is a GCSE option subject for years 10 and 11. So it's something that you can aim for when you get to this year group. We also take this subject in sixth form, and as you can see here, this is a computer room with 30 computers that students use to do their research. And I'm now going to sort of introduce you to an activity that I'd like you to have a go at, a typical activity that we do in business studies on the branding theme.
So you can see here logos of famous companies either in the UK or worldwide, and the idea here is you take one of the letters may belong to a famous brand that you may know of. You may need some parents' help here in some of the questions. So we're looking at, can you spot the logo? I'll give you some opportunity now to pause the video if you'd like to have a go, pen and paper ready, and if not, I'll now tell you what the answers were. Okay, so we have the C of can starts with the letter C, is Cadbury's, famous chocolate company. A, Coca-Cola. N belongs to Disney. The Y is eBay. The O belongs to Sony. The U belongs to Blockbuster. Now you might have to ask your parents about that particular business, but that was a company that when you wanted to watch a film, you had to go to the shop and hire the video for a night and take it back the next day. Crazy times. The S of spot, you can see the S is Subway. The P belonging to Pepsi. And the O, and I'll just show you the answer to these now. O belongs to Oracle, a company. T, Tesco. And then we've got the which is T, was Tic Tac. H, Yahoo, ESO, Louis Vuitton, and Canon with cameras, and General Electric, and the last one was Lego. So well done if you got all of them questions right. The power of a brand name then. In business, what we tend to look at is enterprise and marketing, and we look at the importance of getting your brand right. And some successful brands out there can actually create something whereby you can actually tell the name of a company just by a picture. Or sometimes we can even tell a company, we actually use it in our common day language. For example, we all know what Google means, don't we? Let's Google it. Why don't you go and Google it? We say that we're using the company's name in a phrase, a doing word. Basically, Google is a search engine, and before Google came along, there were lots of other companies out there, like Ask Jeeves, still around, Yahoo, and there was a choice of search engines, but Google came along and became such a powerful brand name that it's the first thing we all go to now. So you're going to look at 8 products, and what would you call each one? So I'm going to show you the product. What would you call each one? I want you to be honest, and then at the end, or as you go along, count up your total score. Choose one name per product, add the score from the yellow bubble. That is an option there. So let's have a look. So what would you call this product? Would you call it A, a Hoover, B, a vacuum, or C, a floor cleaner? You got 10 points there if you said Hoover. If you said vacuum, you get a point. If you said a floor cleaner, you get another point. So if you said A, Hoover, you've got 10 points. The other two, you've got a point. Remember that number. What about this? What would you call this? A, would you call it Lipsil? B, chapstick? Or C, lip balm? Again, 10 points if you said Lipsil, 10 points if you said chapstick. They're brands. 1 point if you said lip balm. That's actually what it is. So add that to the previous one. That's your total so far. Next one. What would you call this? Would you call it a biro, a bic, or a pen? Well, if you said biro, give yourself 10 points. If you said bic, also give yourself 10 points. If you said pen, give yourself a point. Add that to your total. What would you call this? Would you call it A, Tipp-Ex, B, liquid paper, C, correction fluid? If you said Tipp-Ex, give yourself 10 points. If you said liquid paper, give yourself a point. And if you said correction fluid, give yourself another point. Tipp-Ex is such a common word now. We actually say, have you got any Tipp-Ex, when we actually refer to what it actually is, which is correction fluid. What would you call this? Is it a frisbee or is it a flying disc? 10 points if you said frisbee and a point if you said flying disc. The brand is called a frisbee. What would you call this? Is it a jacuzzi? Is it a hot tub? Or would you say it's a whirlpool? Well, if you said jacuzzi, give yourself 10 points. If you said it's a hot tub, give yourself a point. And whirlpool, give yourself another point. So if you said jacuzzi, you've got 10 points. What would you call this? Is it A, post-it, B, notepaper, or C, sticky note? Well, the answer, well, if you said 10 points for post-it, you would get a point for notepaper, and C, you would get a point if you said it was sticky note. Again, add that to your total. And finally, what would you call this? Is it a memory stick? Is it a USB stick? Or would you say it's a thumb drive? Well, if you said a memory stick, give yourself 10 points. If you said it's a USB stick, give yourself a point. If you said it was C, a thumb drive, give yourself another point. So what was it doing by that? If you can now have a total score The highest you possibly could get is 80 and the lowest is 8. The higher you score, the more influenced you have been by brand names. The common names we now use for these products were coined by companies. So for example, Hoover is actually a brand name. We actually always say, I've just been hoovering, or somebody might say, can you do the hoovering over the course of the weekend? Or I have been hoovering. Well, actually, that is actually a vacuum cleaner we're using, but we use the phrase Hoover, and that is an example of a powerful brand. Memory stick, for example, is actually a brand name registered by Sony in 1998. So I hope that gives you a flavour about business studies a little bit in this short clip. Thank you for listening. Have a good evening.